You touched upon 1975 and that famous upset, the historic sweep. Can you just talk more about that series when nobody expected you guys to win?
Well, we knew that we had a chance to beat them. I mean, I think our record and such, we had close games, one game. And the thing I laughed about the most is they said, well, Mike Reardon can guard Barry. I said, what? Mike Reardon is shorter than I am, and I'm faster than he is. I mean, and so he had a couple of games. One game I shouldn't have played. I had my knee got banged. I probably shouldn't have played. Didn't play particularly well. Another game I happened to have a bad shooting game, which happens. I mean, and then I had a couple other good games, and so I just thought that was hysterical, and none of us believed that those guys were going to sweep us. Nobody did. I think they were terribly overconfident to the point that the team was willing to change the schedule because you're usually 2 games there, 2 games at ours, and then back and forth for the other 3. Well, we had a conflict with our arena doing stuff, so they were willing to play the first game at their place, come back and play 2 at ours, and then go back to them. That's how confident they were. And then so all of a sudden things changed when we beat them in the first game. Then we come back to our place. And we wound up playing at the Cow Palace, which I was thrilled about because the Oakland Arena wasn't available. And I think they had the Ice Capades were in there or something. I always tell people it was the circus, but I think it was the Ice Capades. And we come back to play at the Cow Palace, which I love their baskets. We didn't have breakaway rims back then, but the baskets there were very forgiving. I used to call them like sewer pipes. I mean, they were really soft rims. I mean, I loved them. And I think I scored, 35, 36 points in the 2 games we were over there. We wind up beating them in both of those games. Now they're down 3-0. I mean, and they were panicked. And so then we go back to game 4. And at the opening tip, Mike Reardon throws and hits me with a big elbow at the jump ball. And so I said, I might be dumb, but I'm not stupid. I'm not about to get into a fight with you, Mike, so that you can get thrown out and I can get thrown out. So you guys want to get a win trying to get me out of the game. That's not happening. So he kept doing that. And then finally another play, I went in front of our bench and he came right over the top of my back and Al Addles came out on the floor. Richie Powers threw Addles out of the game and they didn't throw. I mean, it was crazy. And so, but I knew what they were trying to do. I told the guys, guys, we got these guys. They're in panic mode. I said, Reardon's trying to get me into a fight with them. He said, they're desperate. They are desperate. We just have to go out and do what we were capable of doing. And we wound up doing that. I think in 3 of the 4 games, we came from double digits down or something. Anyway, it was great. It was a great feeling and great accomplishment. And it was done because we played like a team. I mean, and that's what basketball is about. That's why everybody's talking about this player. One player is not going to win a championship for you. His teammates have to perform. He can't do it by himself. They have to play defense. Somebody else has to score. Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, I sucked. I was like 2 for 14 at one point against Chicago. And Al was smart enough, put me on the bench. Clifford Ray's on the bench, our starting center. So we got a lot of our reserves in. We're down. They held Chicago scoreless for 7.5 minutes. 7.5 minutes. So if it's not for my teammates, we don't even have another chance. And Al kept me on the bench even into the 4th quarter. And I joke with him and I tell when Al was there and I've had to do some appearances and speeches. I said the greatest coaching move Al Addles ever made was benching me in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. And seriously, I mean, how many coaches would take their leading scorer and player out and keep him out of the game for that long in a Game 7? Seriously,
You don't see that, yeah.
No, and it was a good thing and what he did was a brilliant. It was a great move, and I just let him go. I thought I was going to go in at the end of the 3rd quarter, but he still kept me on the bench. And then when I came in, here's the difference when we get back to we talked about confidence. I could tell you exactly where it was. I can see it like it happened just yesterday. I was in front of our bench, north end of Coliseum Arena, maybe 18 feet. I'm open. Well, if I'm open, I'm going to shoot the ball, right? Well, when you're 2 for 14, a lot of guys might not be thinking about shooting into the Game 7. My thought, I have nowhere to go but up. I'm already going to be the dog back and then the GOAT, right? That you're the GOAT. Now it's greatest of all time. But back then you called you the GOAT. That means you sucked and you screwed up the whole game. So I knew I had nowhere to go, right? I mean, if we're going to lose this game, it's going to be on me because I did not play to my level, and it could have wound up costing us the ball game.
And shooters are going to shoot. Yeah.
I took the shot and I made it. And I think I made 5 of my last 7. So I think I scored in that last period that I was in. I scored 10 points, made some passes for assists. One of them I went up for a shot and hit George Johnson rolling to the basket, which was a big play and kind of broke their back. George is blocking everything down the other end with the defense. And we wound up winning the Western Conference and getting a chance to go to the finals. But that's what it's about. I try to tell people it's not one person. You have to have other people contributing. And if it wasn't for my teammates, we never win the Western Conference title. And certainly we don't win the championship either.
Mm-hmm.